So welcome to the Honeybee Watch Symposia series. I'm Steve Rogenstein. I'm your host and behind-the-scenes coordinator, as well as Honeybee Watch's project director. And I'm joined today with Rigo Moro, who is our science director. So the purpose of this Symposia series is manifold, namely to build this international coalition, to bring speakers together, to introduce them to one another, to introduce you to them, to bring you together, to spark dialogue, to share resources, etc. Also to provide this platform whereby you can hear different people's projects about free-living honeybees, as well as hear the dialogues that might ensue between researchers that have different perspectives and are working on different aspects of these populations. It's to discuss these individual issues, such as monitoring back in June, today, data rights and data sharing, and in December about this complicated definition of wild or feral or free living or nature-based or whatever you want to call these types of bees. And especially from Honeybee Watch's perspective, these are topics that have been challenging for us in the 3 years of our existence. And what we're hoping is through the Symposia series to talk out the issues and possibly progress on these topics that might lead to solutions and or address different aspects of them that we had not considered before. Specific to today, we are going to talk about data rights, data sharing, the possibility of co-authoring and of publications, etc. And it's a complex topic, and it's something that has challenged us for a very long time. It's been a recurring issue, and it's got very many layers. So Honeybee Watch works directly with citizen scientists who provide us with these nest sites. And the question is for them, are you willing to share your data? Are you willing to share your name and your email and participate in this and collect more data through monitoring several times a year? We also work with research partners who are providing us with data, and they, in turn, are collecting data potentially from citizens. And we have two examples of that today. We have Honeybee Wild in Luxembourg, and we have Bee Wild in Italy, and they will hopefully share their perspectives. Additionally, they have a relationship with us at Honeybee Watch, and the question is, what data do they share? What do they not share? Why, with whom, etc. We also are in partnership with the IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. We are spearheading the reassessment of Apis mellifera in Europe, and we have asked research partners to share their data with IUCN to know where these populations are distributed throughout Europe, as well as to share the data with Honeybee Watch. And in some instances, they've been willing to share it for both projects, and some they have not. And hopefully we'll dive into that aspect. And then there are other global entities like BeeLife, represented today by Noa, the European Pollinator Hub, the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. And what is the relationship that Honeybee Watch will have with them? Will we be sharing our data with them? Will they be sharing data with us? And also, can our research partners and our citizens' data be shared more widely with other types of groups? There's also open source. A lot of organizations are looking at that as a model. And we wonder whether or not we will be open source as well, whether our partners would be willing to be open source. What are the advantages of this? What are the disadvantages? So the issues go on and on and on. And hopefully we're going to have really kind of deep and profound explorations of these topics in today's symposium. So I can continue, but really what we're trying to do is listen to our guests. So today we will hear from three experts from Luxembourg, Italy, and in Brussels representing the EU. Each of them will get 12 minutes to talk about their projects, to tell their stories, and comment on these issues of data rights and data sharing. After their presentations, we'll have a panel discussion for about 30 minutes, and then we'll open the floor to your questions in the remaining time. I would like to move on to our next guest, Noa Simón Delso. So we went from independent studies in Luxembourg and Italy, and now to a massive European level project called BeeLife, which Noa serves as the scientific director. So they work for a brighter future for bees and pollinators, improving their protection and their collaboration in our agricultural system. They're comprised of more than 25 national beekeeping associations and other European nonprofits, which focus on pesticide regulation, the future of the European Common Agricultural Policy, preparing publications for authorities and the public, spreading civil campaigns like Save the Bees, stopping glyphosate use, and the importance of pollinators, and specifically related to data, developing the EU Pollinator Hub and other projects. And there are other initiatives. So it's a lot on your plate, Noa. I'm impressed. So thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to start you. Are you unmuted as well?
No, I'm here.
Perfect. I'm going to start your timer if you're ready.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the presentation. Yeah, actually, so what you, Steve, has presented about the activities that we do actually led us, let's say, to understanding the need of bringing information and data together. In all these activities that Steve present to you that we are doing in the association, I mean, for us, at least, that we are an association advocating for the protection of bees and pollinators, and therefore indirectly also for the people who live from them, let's say. So like the beekeepers or any others who would live from pollinators. It was clear that we were the ones, so we are so niche, let's say, so that at the end we were the ones that needed to bring all the information together, make it accessible to others who do not understand it, actually, and so that the others could do their good decisions. And in all our history of activities, that is now quite a lot of years, for us it was clear that we needed to put all this information together in order to make a change, at least in decision making. So that's why we created the European Pollinator Hub. That is an online technology that we are creating, and hopefully will be ready in February next year. That actually what it does is that it puts together data coming from different sources. I'm just going to, yeah. So it puts together data coming from different sources. It standardizes it. As Roger was saying, we provide data models in case people want to launch themselves into the data collection, because we can profit from the efforts done from others. So we have this open source collective approach, but of course very much requires to standardize, let's say, and to describe well the data so that we compare things that are comparable. And then, so we put this information together, and then in doing so, we can understand either pollinator trends or the threats they may be exposed to. And then thanks to that, then we can provide some analytical data about all this data that comes together, and we can help in decision making, for instance, at policy level or even at field level. So this is actually what we are doing with the European Pollinator Hub. Now we have a presentation page if you want to read a little bit more about it. And then now we are developing the app, so the platform itself, that is what will be ready in February next year. And then, well, you can all participate to it and become data providers. So everything that you, like Paolo and Roger and Steve have explained already about the problems of data sharing, the needs of being recognized for the authorship of the data, the needs for privacy and all that, we know it all. It is not just a problem of that you have, it's a problem that is really, really horizontal. And that's the reason why we have tried to address all of these issues, let's say, in the hub. So what we try to do, and we started from there, we work a lot with potential users. So in order to create a platform that is workable, you need to understand what eventually the different diverse users need, and then react to this. So some people just need information to be consumed, so they don't understand anything, and then they just know a very easy peasy piece of information that say, things are going well, no, things are not going well. Some other people may need to use the data that is there to do some other research or to put it in another context. Or some others maybe need to, like as Roger said, like have some data models to be used to improve the way they collect data. Or maybe you are collecting enormous amount of data and you don't have any server that is big enough to collect it. Okay, so this is something that can be done. Anyway, so these are different needs that the user may have. So then we already propose this in the platform. So we have established some normal users or basic users who would be just information consumers. So they wouldn't even need to register. They are there, and just with the public information that comes out of the hub, then they will be happy and they will fulfill their needs, let's say. Then we have other kinds of users that would take an active point, an active role, let's say, in the platform. They can be either data providers or they can be peer reviewers, because of course it's very, very important that the data that is put in the hub, if eventually it is going to be used by someone else, because the data provider allows their data to be used by third people, that the quality of this data is ensured. And for this, there is a peer review process behind it. Or there is a translator, like in order to do that, then we can use it at worldwide level. There are different users, a wide variety of users that are there. But all these need to be managed by someone who has other needs. And then all of above this, it's the administrator who also have other needs. So all these needs in our framework are linked to some specific rules, let's say, of users. So, but there are basic principles, basic data principles that are shared across all these agreements or rules for the different users. One is that we need to ensure the copyright. That's what Roger was saying. Like here, the only thing that the hub does is put the data together, but we don't get ownership of the data. The data is owned by the people who generate it and put it on the hub. And the only thing that we do, we ensure, is just the standardization and the storing, let's say, if need be, in a place, and the fact that the data that is put there, it is used in the future if it needs to be used in the future, and can be found. We have ensured the privacy of the users, all these things that you have put on the table, problems of GDPR, problems of location, problems of consents and stuff like this. All this is already included in a privacy policy that, if you want, it's accessible on the hub, so you can read it. So we put some geofencing, so the location cannot be found if the data providers do not want the data to be found, etc. We ensure the rights for data usage, because of course many people put the data there and they say, oh, I don't mind if this data is open source, but I would like that the data is open source and someone else uses the data, but they have to acknowledge that it was my data, and this data have to be used for a non-profit. So for this, we just create Creative Commons licenses. We are not reinventing the wheel. Everything is there. Of course, very important, we don't take responsibility about what third parties or how third parties will use the platform. I think that's very important. but this is everything explained in terms and conditions. And we provide the standards and the data models for everyone, because we have this open source approach. So yeah, we want that the community brings the community farther, let's say. So there is a wide diversity, as you could see, of uses, a wide diversity, therefore, of rights and responsibilities of these specific users. So the data providers will have certain rights in the hub, but they will also have certain responsibilities. The peer reviewers, the same, the translators, the same. And all these, let's say, are considered into the hub. So every time that one becomes either a data provider or a peer reviewer or whatever, there is, we really go for the transparency. So when you become this new user or specific user, you have all the information there on the agreement, what you can do, what you cannot do. These agreements are available anytime for consultation, and very, very important, they are written in a very, very accessible vocabulary and expressions. Because very often when you go into these law and legal related documents, you don't understand anything at all. So we wrote it in a way that it is accessible for a normal person to understand. And anyway, if people don't understand it, they can always contact us, because all the let's say the information to contact us is there in case people have problems. Also, other considerations that was what Steve was putting on the table is this: are we doing open source or not? We have this logic of an open source project with a very transparent mechanics. So as I said, the data, it is not us to decide if it is open or not. It is on the data provider who decides if the data will be open or not, okay? So the only thing that we do is just to give the infrastructure so that the user puts the data there and actually decides, I want my data to be public, I don't want my data to be public. That's it. Apart from that, for us, everything that is on the platform is open source. So the standard operating procedures that, let's say, operate the functioning of the platform, they will be publicly available from February next year. Even the code, it will be available. I mean, everything is open source, and it is there for the community to actually use it and improve it. So that's our logic of work. Yeah, and with this, I thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, I'm here for any questions you may have.
Wow. I know that Rodrigo, you and I are both like, wow, this is so inspirational. Thank you for sharing, Noah. This is great work that you've been doing. I have so many questions. I'll follow up with you separately. But really a great project. And I mean, it's called the Pollinator Hub. So it's not just bees, it's the 350,000 pollinators out there. And I encourage anybody that if you're interested in learning more, go visit their website. They're doing great stuff.